Right. So line plots, they are the next in line, right, for us to see. Because as you can see, I have this line plot and you can see the area chart, right? So area and line is just the difference is just the shading, right? In most cases, they'll just tell you plot the line plot. Don't worry about the shading. But if you like the shading, you can actually add it and we'll see how to do that, right? And of course, you can see here they only advise us to use seaborn and plotly. But of course, we can also use line plot in matplotlib. And we're going to attempt to see how to do that before we go to SNS line plot on videos. So line plots just go to show us what do you call it now? That shows time series. In fact, we use line plots mostly for time series analysis. It both shows trend, right? And there is no better way to visualize trend than to use lines, right? So that's what line plots are natively meant for. Use them to show how something changed with respect to another. Although some people also want to, some people also use it to kind of show how a machine learning model changes after each step of the training or each epoch. There are things we call epoch, but it tries to show trend. That is what I'm trying to say. In most data analysis cases, you find us using it for time series analysis, but it can also try. It can also be used to show us how, okay, when we increase the size sorry, when we increase the number of training, or maybe after so number of training, the model had this accuracy or had this accuracy. So I don't want to go there and begin to bring up some of those things. Right. Now for us to practice this, I had to go add the dates, the registration dates column. If I use data.columns, columns, so you're gonna see that. Sorry, dear. Should see that rest date. So that's what we're going to be using. Right, so I'm gonna put in red dates. Now let's run this and see. You can see my registration dates now. Is the data type is what is an object, right? So if it's an object, it's not safe to use it, right, as an object. So there are two things you should do when you want to plot any line plot, especially when you're using matplotlib. First of all, make sure that it is in a date format. In fact, for every visualization library, make sure it is in a date format first. Then, if it's in a date format, I think seaborn and plotly they have a native ability to be able to understand dates and handle them accordingly. But then, for matplotlib, you should sort them. You should sort them by date first. So I don't know if I really want to use matplotlib, but I mean, let's give it a try. So, so first of all, let's change it to a date. So it's going to be pd dot to date time. If you've not forgotten this formula, I've taught you how to do this to change to date time, or you can use the as type method, right? On the this guy, you can use the as type method as type. And you can put date time 64 ns. I be ns 64 ns. I don't know. This is correct. Okay, let me see. Date time. I think it's ns 64. Forgot. I actually forgot. Date time string ns. Wow. All right. Let's see this. This also will not work. Okay, so we'll just convert this to date time. This will also not work. So just use PD dots. But let me check. PD dot as type date time. Let me see that. I think I'm missing something. Okay, the NS is in brackets. Sure. I sure know that something was right. So let's see this. 64, then we put this NS in bracket like this. Of course, you have a lot of other, as you can see, when we typed this guy, like when we started typing this guy, we found out that we have a lot of other date types. You can see dates, AS, I don't know what they mean. think this one is when you want to extract the months, right? Capital letters. So there are a lot of things. When we come to time series analysis, we'll see some of these things. Then we're going to use the NS. Yeah, NS. Now let's try to print this guy and see what it gives us now. Another place. Now you can see I've converted it to a date time, to a date object now. So now it is seen as a date. Now you will not know the advantage now is that we can now see things as months. For some intelligent visualization libraries, they can group them according to months for us. That is the advantage, right? So of course, because this is a registration date and I use a Google form, this guy is sorted already. But if it's not sorted, you can go ahead and sort the data frame by date, right? You can go ahead and sort. So even if I sort, if I use df dot sort values, decide to pass this by equal to also reg date, like reg date like this, to automatically sort it by registration date. And you find out that now the problem is that it is now sorting it. Okay. Okay, yeah, I get, because we sorted it earlier by scores. So let me sort it by registration date. Now you can see, let's see 23rd, 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 22, 24th. So great, it is even great that we sorted it now. Because I think I sorted them by scores first earlier on. So once you sort it like this, since the index has changed, please reset the index. Because sometimes you might want to do something and then to just tell you that the index has issues. So reset the index. And of course, we want to drop the previous one. So we do this. This is an introduction to time series analysis now. So you can see we did that. So you can now go ahead and if you want to extract the month, you can extract the month. We'll see that in the next class. For now, it's just for us to plot a line plot. So we're going to do this and 3D dots. Sorry. We're going to do now for us to be able to plot a bar plot of this date time series. We just go ahead and do plt dot line, right? And then we pass our x as equal to this column, df reg date, abi. We decide to do this, and then our y will be equal to sorry, yeah, x reg date, and our y will be equal to, will be number of registrations. I think it should be number of registrations, but it means now we still have to yeah, we still have to plot it by something. So that's the problem now. We still have to plot it by something. Either it is sum or I don't know what is great. Sum it by, should I use average or no? Average score will be the greatest, will be the best. So line plots, we need at least two quantity. We need another variable that we can check that by. Except if we decided to use like, we decided to create like what do we call it now, a group by. I decided to do df dot group by. We decided to do registration dates. Then now registration date, we decided to return back what do you call it now? The number of registrations, which will be I don't know, what should I return now? I think I should return. Okay, it should not be, it should be rested like this, the value count, so that I can get the number of registrations per day. So if I do this, it will give me this, but I don't want it to sort. So I'm going to put a sort here, equal to false. Hope this works. Correct, so that it will maintain the previous date. Wait, is this maintained? 27th. Why am I having May 1st? Okay, I did not make this guy in place, so this guy was not permanent. So let me make this guy permanent here, so that the f will change. The f is equal to, right? All right, so let's run this. Of course, now you can see it started from the 23rd of April. Remember, I think that was the day we released this form. So now we can see the value count. Now we can go ahead. Since we can see this, we can just call this uh, red trend. I'll just call this a red trend to tell the number of registrations per day. That's just what I want to see. Number of registrations per day. Red trend. And when I do that, let me see red. Let me try to print red trend. That is for matplotlib. I think I need to do this for matplotlib. So when we have created this now, we can go ahead to create like our line plots for each of these guys now. Now plt.line, I hope it takes this. So I'll just pass in a red trend here. Red trend dot, of course, dot index as my x, and my y will be red, the same red trend dot values. This works. Oh, it doesn't have a line plot. Nice. I thought I saw it. Okay, dot plot. Just dot plot, not dot line. So go down, implement X. So what was it? What was it looking for? Let's take these guys out and plot it like this. Yeah, so now you can see how the trend is going up and down. But the problem is that these guys now are choked up here. That's the problem with matplotlib. It's not that smart enough to understand that this is a date and I can group these guys right by time. So that's also another issue we might have. So you can of course increase the fixed size of this guy, but that's they want us not to use it. So I'm going to use SNS now dot line plots, of course, line plots. Just let me try to use for the SNS. Let me try to pass in the same things that I passed for these guys to these guys. Let me try this and see what I get. Now, even SNS was not able to decode. It's not like it was not able to decode that this was a date. Okay, but it's seen it as a text. So now we don't have to do this. I think we can go ahead and plot it directly using data is equal to not rate trend per se. Data is equal to what is the name of df, right? So let's say we want to see yeah, df. So let's say our x is equal to what reg. Somebody said df dot index. No, that will not be it. But we still need to pass in our y. So I will just pass in an age, and then this time around, see what will happen. Now you can see what's happening here now is that it's trying to show us that this is like the average ages as calculated of people by registration dates, even though that's not what I want to see, right? So if I want to see the frequency now, I have to use that what do you call it now? I have to use, and you can see everything here is still scattered. Not scattered, but choked up. So I still have to come back here and use PLT dot, let's say figure, right? Remember the fixed size. And we pass in, let's say, the other time we use 15 by 6, right? Yeah. So let's do this. Let's run this and see. Now you can see now the dates are at least, even though some dates are still sitting one on top of the other, right? But at least it is looking way more cleaner now than what we had earlier on, right? See registration date, and these are what we call the error bars. It's trying to show you that at this place it picked the average. That was what they did, average. So if you're using the sum, of course, you can change the estimator to sum, but it will not make sense. So this is the average age of people by this one, but I don't even know why we're doing average age by day of registration, right? Now, if you want to still use the count plot, I think we have to come back and put our red trend here. red trend, of course. Then I don't know. This will have to be, except if by any means I decide to, of course, I reset index here, and which you can do in one place. Reset index. You run this, it should give you a better red trend. And then when we come here now, it means our x this will now become red trend now. Since red trend now has now become a data frame, right? We're going to call the name of the column, which is red dates, right? And then this guy now be what? Red trend what counts, right? So if you add the plt.figure, I think it should. I think we were not fair earlier to this one. Always add your plt.show. Very, very important. It automatically just shows here, but doesn't mean that we should overlook it, right? So you can add your labels as well. Let me see if AI will help me do that. plt.title. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Now you can see the advantage of using seaborn now is that it gives you this kind of error bars, right? And of course, let me see this red trend. Let me count here. Let me see. Now you can see now we don't have error bars because there is nothing to calculate as error bar, and it is giving us the same thing as we have here. Same thing, just showing us going up and down. Right. So that's how to use seaborn. If you're having a group by, that's how to use seaborn too. Now that's because we're using a count plot, and if you want to plot it in a line chart, and that count plot has to be like, I don't know if count plots. Let me check. Let us check sms.count plots and see if count plots can come as say line chart. With can, I'll be very glad. But if you can't, if you want to see the number of revisions by bit, you have to use this group by. You want to see that. All right. So that's that. Now, what remains now is to try to use plotly, right? So to try to use plotly, you use px dot line, because it uses dot line, and you can pass in your guys. That is your argument, which is data frame is equal to data. Then you can go ahead to data frame is equal to df rather. This will still not give us a count plot. So we have to use, instead of the data, we still need to use what do you call them now? Our red trend that we created, distribution trend. And of course, don't worry, if we're using sales by date, now it will automatically use the sales. Or if you want us to use that, you can just see data, and then we run through it, and we have trend data frame. Okay, x will be equal to what? Age. No, not the age. That will be the reg date, of course. Then our y will be equal to, let's say, age. So if you do this, it will automatically sum the ages. You remember I told you that plotly automatically sums, right? It will automatically sum the ages for you. And then, of course, we'll also see how to do that. Let's see that in the next video. Right now, I'm having troubles with my network and I have to stop this recording now. So we'll just see that in the next video before we look at histograms and box plots. Yeah, see you in the next video.